A shocking statement came from Jin BTS, who recently asserted loudly that Jungkook must be closely guarded while attending the prestigious Calvin Klein Fashion Week in the United States. Why did Jin speak so firmly? What was he actually worried about? This question immediately became a hot topic of discussion among fans and observers of the global entertainment industry. Jin's comment did not arise without reason. Jungkook, known as a global ambassador for Calvin Klein, once again became the world spotlight when he appeared on the most anticipated fashion stage. His charismatic appearance made the cameras, journalists, and thousands of fans focus on him. However, it is precisely in the midst of the glitter of popularity that vulnerabilities often arise that are not visible: public pressure, personal safety, and uncontrolled crowds of fans. Jin, known as a wise and protective figure among BTS members, understands very well how the world spotlight can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, Jungkook's popularity brings extraordinary pride, but on the other hand, the risks that come with it are even greater. His statement that Jungkook must be closely guarded at Calvin Klein Fashion Week is like a loud alarm that a star as big as Jungkook cannot only rely on stage charm, he also needs comprehensive protection, undeniably. Every appearance of Jungkook in public often creates an extraordinary social phenomenon. Since it was announced that he would attend Calvin Klein Fashion Week USA, fan enthusiasm immediately exploded. Social media was filled with speculation, leaked photos, and Jungkook's departure agenda. This atmosphere made the event organizers, security team, and the brand itself have to work extra hard. Jin, through a statement, emphasized that security is not just a formality, but an absolute necessity. Public reaction to Jin's comments also varied. Most fans welcomed him with respect and appreciation. They assessed that Jin spoke not only as a fellow group member, but also as someone who fully understood the risks behind the global entertainment world. For ARMY, Jin's words reflect sincere concern and a sense of responsibility for Jungkook's comfort and safety. In fact, many believe that Jin is actually voicing the concerns of many fans who are worried about their idol. From the industry side, Jin's statement is considered an important reflection on security standards for international artists. Calvin Klein, as a global brand, certainly understands the great value that Jungkook brings. Jungkook's presence not only enhances the brand's image, but also presents an extraordinary wave of attention from the Asian to American markets. If it is not balanced with good security management, this great spotlight can turn into a boomerang. Thus, Jin's reprimand is like a stern reminder. A world-class artist needs world-class treatment, especially in terms of protection. Interestingly, Jin's firm statement also shows the dynamics of the relationship between BTS members, which often steals public attention. Even though they are undergoing their respective activities, their emotional bonds remain strong. When Jin issued a statement like this, many fans saw it as a real symbol of BTS solidarity. Jungkook may appear alone on the Calvin Klein stage, but there is moral presence and attention from Jin that accompanies him. The spotlight became sharper when some observers assessed that Jin's comments did not only apply to one event, but as a long-term warning. Jungkook's increasing popularity, especially after his successful solo debut, made him an even greater target of global attention. Jin, with his experience, seems to want to ensure that this success is not disturbed by external threats. On social media, Jin's statement even became a trending topic. Hashtags like #ProtectJungkook and #JinForJungkook were widely used by fans. This wave of support shows how seriously the global public responds to the security issues of their idols. Many fans recalled cases where K-pop artists faced dangerous situations due to lack of security while at airports, stages, or other public events. However, there were also those who questioned whether Jin was speaking based on information he knew internally or simply an expression of personal concern. This question further heated up the discussion. Because if there really is a real threat, then Jungkook's presence at an event as big as Calvin Klein Fashion Week is clearly not just a glamorous moment, but also a situation full of risks. Whatever Jin's motivation, one thing is certain. His comments have shaken the narrative surrounding Jungkook's presence at Calvin Klein Fashion Week USA. In the midst of the crowd of cameras, applause, and cheers from fans, the public now sees another side that is rarely highlighted, namely how fragile the position of a superstar is in the face of the global masses. In the end, Jin's short but firm sentence was not just a spontaneous utterance. It is a warning, an invitation, as well as a reflection. That behind fame, there is a great responsibility to protect the safety of artists who are symbols of culture and the hope of millions of people. Jungkook may appear as a Calvin Klein icon, but Jin makes the world know he is also a human who needs to be protected. The question now is, will Jin's message really be responded to by the organizers and big brands like Calvin Klein? Or will it just become a viral issue that is lost in the media stream? What is clear is that Jin's voice has already echoed, and the public is waiting for a real answer. How will Jungkook really be guarded in the midst of the world's spotlight? Jin's statement that Jungkook must be closely guarded at Calvin Klein Fashion Week USA does sound surprising. However, let's stop for a moment and ask, is this really a real event, or just a piece of narrative form to create sensation? This is the question we should reflect on together, because in today's social media era, the dividing line between fact and engineering is increasingly blurred. Imagine for a moment, why can a comment spread so quickly, become a trending topic, and trigger thousands of global discussions? Did Jin really convey this directly, or is it just an interpretation of video snippets and captions that were deliberately enlarged? Haven't we often witnessed how snippets on TikTok or Twitter are able to change the original meaning of an artist's words? So, should we immediately believe it without tracing the main source? If we pay attention, a lot of information about Jin and Jungkook circulates through platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. This media does have extraordinary viral power, but also often gives rise to distortions. So, are you sure that every piece of information circulating there is always accurate? Or is there a possibility that this narrative is just a hoax that is conjured up to look convincing? Statements like, Jungkook must be closely guarded, clearly attract attention. But let's turn that question around. Who is the first to spread it? Where did the sentence really come from? Is there an official recording, a credible interview, or just a snippet of a netizen's comment that then developed into something that seemed like a fact? This is where it is important for us as viewers to learn to be skeptical. Without a critical attitude, we can get caught up in the current of sensationalism that is deliberately created. Undeniably, the international entertainment world often uses controversial issues to attract media attention. Isn't it easier to make the public emotionally provoked with the narrative, Jin speaks firmly, than to present ordinary information about Jungkook's appearance? The question is, are we witnessing reality, or are we being targeted by a neatly planned marketing strategy? Let's reflect further. Is there a certain motive behind this narrative? It could be that the firm comment about Jungkook is part of the brand strategy to strengthen its image of exclusivity. By presenting the impression that Jungkook is such an important figure that he must be closely guarded, Calvin Klein's reputation is automatically raised. But once again, did it really come from Jin's voice, or was it just created by the media to add drama? Skepticism in reading entertainment news is vital.